Welcome to the Retro Gamer Ranting Podcast, the place for the random rantings and ravings of retro gaming, indie gaming, and maybe, just maybe, some newer stuff too. Enjoy!
What's up, everybody? This is the Retro Gamer Ranting. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. Welcome to episode 3 of my podcast, happening sometime in February. I do these, here's the thing, I do these and I'm not sure when I'm going to upload them. So, I'm like, should I put the date in? Should I say what the date is that I'm actually recording this on the 17th of February. So, hopefully I'll have this up sometime significantly. I try and put my podcast up like the day after I make it or something like that, so who knows. What's going on? What am I going to be talking about today? Well, usually I will go over what I've been playing, and then I will, last time I teased the fact I was going to talk about some of my computer video gaming history and why I'm a PC gamer foremost versus everything else. I will get to that later on. I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of other random things that have been crossing my mind lately. And that's what I love about this, is the fact that even though a lot of this stuff isn't, it's just, my mind gets full of the randomest crap sometimes. I got to purge it. I just got to get rid of it sometimes. And I think this is a good place for it, especially if it's game related, because that wouldn't make sense if I start talking about other stuff. But yeah, so I will be talking about my history with PC gaming. Don't worry, I know you guys were all worried about that. And I just had like a sneezing fit before I started this recording, which is just the best thing to have before you want to start doing a video or audio recording. So excuse me if I take a few sips here to get the little gurgle out of my throat. So what have I been playing lately? Actually, let me see. I've been playing some Duke Nukem 3D. If you haven't noticed on my YouTube channel, I've uploaded a couple of death matches that I had with my brother-in-law, Mad Dog. Thoroughly dominated. I swear, he was purposely trying to avoid me in a couple of those matches, just to urge me off. I tell you. So I've been playing, it's basically that. I've been playing Turbo Dismount, which is a really fun game. It started off as like a free game years and years ago. I remember playing like a free demo version of this years and years ago, and I was happy to see that it's on Steam. It's actually getting updated a lot, and every new update there's a new vehicle, there's a new track or something. It's basically a physics game, if you've never heard of it before, and it's on Steam, and it's just a great time waster. And all it is there's these vehicles you can pick from, and you have this little crash test dummy-like character, and you can put them in different positions on the vehicle, and then there's this track or this course. And along this course, there's obstacles, there's like cars, there's like jumps, stuff like that, and you can add your own obstacles as well. Although unlike the first version of this that used to be free, which pretty much allowed you to put the obstacles anywhere you wanted, this one you can only put it in set areas, which is kind of a bummer. And so anyway, your goal is to crash, basically, and try and rack up the biggest score ever, and do as much damage to your poor crash test dummy. And it's addicting as all heck. I don't know why. It's just fun, and just seeing that poor crash test dummy just have horrible things happen to it and be like, wow. But it's fun. It's really fun to do. What else have I been playing? I don't know. There's so much that I downloaded lately, and some of them I just haven't even got to yet. Played a little of Metal Slug 3 yesterday with one of my friends. He actually bought it for me, so thank you to Nib. So thank you to him. He actually gifted Metal Slug 3 to me, which I'm a real big fan of the Metal Slug series. Unfortunately, didn't get to play it until yesterday, and we played online with it, and it lagged horrendously. It was so disappointing how much that thing lagged. I think I might have had something going on in the background, though, which might have been causing a little bit of lag. I didn't realize that at the time. So maybe it's not quite as bad as it was showing. So who knows? I'm a big fan of the Metal Slug series. Unfortunately, you have to take the Metal Slug series as this is an arcade game. This is an arcade game. It's meant to eat your quarters. Back of the day, these games were meant to be fun. They were also meant to be extremely cheap. In other words, getting put in situations that no matter what, you're going to die. There are very few arcade games back in the day. I mean, the older ones were beatable. People could figure out Pac-Man, people could figure out Dig Dug and stuff like that. But for the most part, even those games, to a certain extent, they were eventually meant to, you were meant to lose all of your quarters to that game. And unfortunately, Metal Slug doesn't, unless if you are playing with infinite continues, it doesn't do a really good job of translating over. There's not, and I just don't know how I used to play this game as a kid, because I would have just got frustratingly mad every time, because you just die so much and you just put in those situations so often. But the game just looks so darn beautiful. It's like one of the most wonderfully animated games out there. There's so much personality in every little animation in that game. And Neo Geo, being a classic Neo Geo game, an SNK game, a lot of their games are like that. Look at the King of Fighters series. Any of those, just well drawn, well animated, just some of the best animated arcade games ever made. So it's still fun. I still got to put a little more time into it and stuff like that. I haven't played it single player that much, but that is kind of what I've been playing, I'm pretty sure. I want to try and get back into Loadout. I had Loadout, and then I uninstalled it, and then I reinstalled it yesterday and played it for like a little bit, not too much. Other than that, besides playing some Duke, some Shadow Warrior Classic Redux, I went through the first campaign with that, with cheats, of course. That's the problem with me, is I always fall back into that the old thing of, if there's a cheat code for God mode, I'm going to find it. My friends used to tease me like that if I always bought a new game, how was that a sentence? If I bought a new game, I would usually, the first thing I would do before playing it is look up cheats for it. And it would drive them crazy. But I think it's fun sometimes. Sometimes you just want to relax and play a game and not have that extra stress behind it. And so I think, God mode is perfect for that. Unfortunately, not a lot of games have that anymore. So, yeah. See, I'm going through the games that I've played since my last podcast, which has been many. And, moving on, Titanfall is going through beta stages right now. If you own an Xbox One, it's open beta right now. If you're a PC gamer like I am, you're still waiting, at least at this moment of me recording it. I haven't checked since. In fact, I'm going to look it up right now, but I highly doubt it. I also have some uploading right now, so we'll see how long this takes. But I've been watching a lot of live streams of that, which literally everyone and their mother is live streaming that right now. And to be quite honest, my, does it look good. Like, this is the first AAA title in a long time that I've watched and gotten excited about. And I haven't even touched it yet. I want to. I wasn't even on my radar until I actually, the other day, just randomly watched a live stream. And I think Mad Dog was sitting here with me, and we're both looking at it going like, this is cool. Like, why hasn't anyone thought of this before? Like, bunch of little guys running around shooting, and then you're killing a bunch of people, getting a bunch of points, and you can call down a giant Titan, and then you have Titans fighting each other, so you can eject from the Titan, and then the pilots could jump up, and they could kill the Titan if the Titan ain't paying attention. Oh my! It's like, poof. And the fact that you're not just like this little dinky soldier running around, and you can't do anything. Like, you could jump and double jump and run on walls and be all Matrix-like. It looks awesome. Whether or not I'm actually going to buy this thing day one for $60, well, that's another thing. That's why I want to get into the open beta. And like I said, I wasn't following it, so I didn't get to sign up in time to get into the closed beta. So right now I'm just waiting for open beta on Titanfall on the PC. But it just looks so cool. I mean, This is how cool it looked to me, and I don't know. I actually downloaded EA's Origin. Yeah. Something I swore I would never do. I actually downloaded it just in case I needed it to play the open beta. And yeah, and from the looks of it, EA's Origin is just horrible looking. I was looking through it and I'm just like, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. Why just go through Steam? Please. I think the last EA game was one that I bought off Steam, which is Kingdoms of Amalur, which is an excellent RPG, by the way. If you have a chance, buy it. It's a shame that we're not going to get any... that's another game I've been playing. I forgot about that one, too. Actually, I hadn't played it for a week, believe it or not, but I played the crap out of that at the start of the month, when it was like 70% off on Steam. Fun little action RPG. I got to get back into it. I sort of got away from it and started playing some other stuff. But I was able to buy that on Steam, so I don't know if Titanfall will eventually go to Steam or not. I hate this. I hate any time I sit there and go, I am never going to pay full price for a game again. And then you see something like Titanfall come, and I don't know what the single player is. I know nothing about what the storyline is going to be, if there's going to be a single player. I think there's a single player, I would assume. But the multiplayer just looks freaking sweet. And it actually looks, I'm looking at it, I'm like, yes, a breath of fresh air. Not another Call of Duty clone, not another Halo clone. This looks like a step in a right direction. Because it's doing different stuff. It's like, not only are you running around on the ground as a human, you can also call down a giant robot and jump into it and play as that. Now, I know, and you look around, there's some certain people out there that are just like, well, there's not much of a difference between being in the giant Titan versus being on the ground. You're just a little more bigger and clumsy, but you still can act like you're, it doesn't feel like you're in a giant Titan, they say. Well, then go to Hawken, which is going to be a free-to-play game, which is giant mechs fighting each other, which that looks pretty interesting. It's in early access right now on Steam, but I am not going to pay $30 to get into early access when it's going to be a free-to-play game. So I don't know, I might give that a try too. I watched a few Hawken live streams, and it looks pretty cool. I mean, it's been a while since we've had giant mech robots beating the crap out of each other, I know a lot of people love the old Mech Warrior series, and it's good to see that it's sort of starting to come back around, and we're going to start seeing more of those. But yeah, I'm actually kind of excited about Titanfall. I haven't got to play it yet, sadly, at least at the time of me recording this. So hey, if you are actually playing Titanfall right now, kudos to you. I hope it is fun, because it definitely does look fun. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on that. Again, whether or not if I'm actually going to get it right away or not, that is completely, we will see. We will see, that is for sure. Moving on from that, free-to-play, speaking of free-to-play like Hawken and stuff like that, I've been thinking a little bit more about that lately, because there's just been a ton of them coming out. Loadout has come out, and there's just games that I play that are free-to-play, games that actually they weren't free-to-play and they sort of turned into free-to-play, like Gotham City Imposters and stuff like that. And I was just thinking about that fine line between being a fun free-to-play game and being a just cheap pay-to-win game. Well, obviously not cheap, because it gets expensive. I guess a lot of people are saying the new Loadout is actually one of those games that you could play, and they're trying to get you based off of the fact that this is a fun game, making you want to spend money because it's a fun game, not wanting you to spend money because you want to win. So that's cool. I appreciate that. I like seeing that. Games like Gotham City Imposters, Loadout, Team Fortress 2, all those MOBA games out there, like Dota, LoL, Smite, stuff like that, that try to, the gameplay comes first, trying to get the player to enjoy themselves, and because of that, they want to give money to the developers to support the game. That is how you do a free-to-play. And then there's a ton of games out there that literally just go, well, you want to win, give me your credit card. And it's very frustrating, because I've run into games before where there's a lot of free-to-plays that are in the early stages, the beta stages, and I've actually played them before they've got their official launch. I think the last one I remember that I did that with was Blacklight Retribution, which I actually really enjoyed initially. I really, 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 really did. I even put money into it. I put like $20 into it. I know, that's not a lot, apparently. I found that out after I put the $20 into it and realized I can't buy jack. I think in order to get a permanent, like one permanent gun, it was close to $20. So to get like a gun permanently forever. And here's the thing. If I'm going to put actual money into a free-to-play game, then I want it to be permanent. I want the gun I'm buying, I want the gear I'm buying, I want whatever I'm buying to be permanent. I don't want this 7-day crap. Because here's the 3 different kind of players when it comes to a free-to-play. There's the hardcore player, the one that's not going to put a dime into the game if they have to, that is going to prove that they could play this game and be good at this game without having to put a dime into it. And they will go to the worst possible games that'll basically be like, are basically pay-to-wins out there, and they will play those games, and they will just grind, and they will lose and win and lose and win, and they will just day in and day out just to prove that they could be good at a game without putting the money in, And that's fine, because they're still supporting the game, because a lot of these games have ads in them and stuff like that, so they're still supporting it. There's nothing wrong with that. The people have the time to grind. And then there's the richy rich ones, as I like to call them, the ones that will immediately just throw their money into the game to get all the good stuff right off the bat, so they don't have to work for it, or they don't want to deal with it. They're just like, well, their whole mindset is I probably would pay $60 for this game anyway, so I'll throw $60 into the game, And so they might even throw more. I know my brother-in-law, he plays a MMO. I'm not going to say which one it is. He probably wouldn't want me to. But, he's put a lot of time and effort in it. He's never put any money into it, but it's took him a long time to get where he is in this particular MMO, because a lot of people feel like it's a pay-to-win kind of thing. But, he put the time into it, and he has a pretty powerful character. And yet he could point to characters that said put thousands of dollars into their character to make their character OP. Thousands of dollars. Just so they can have this OP character in this virtual world. I think that's ridiculous. So like I said, you have the first one, the hardcore players that are just going to grind it out no matter what. They have the time, high school, college, whatever. They, in between, all that, they're sitting there playing the game. And then, of course, the richy riches that are just going to, oh, well, I can't have that yet. Well, let me throw some money at it. Now I can. And then you have the middle ground people, like me, who don't want to put a whole lot of money into it. Because and don't have a whole lot of time to put into it, but still want to enjoy playing it. And those are the kind of people that enjoy games like Gotham City Imposters and Team Fortress 2 and that, because you could still enjoy yourself, and when you do unlock things like Gotham City Imposters, if you unlock something in Gotham City Imposters, you get it forever for free, which is perfect. Loadout, same thing. It looks like if you unlock, there's some stuff that you have to pay money for and stuff like that. That's the ones that I like to play. But then, like I said before, with Blacklight Retribution, it's hard to keep up. And there was another game that me and Mad Dog used to play back in the day, Combat Arms, I think. I'm pretty sure. Combat Arms. Where we both got into that and played, and he still plays it. He actually has some permanent weapons. He still plays it a bit. I don't. I can't get it to run on my computer anymore, for one thing. I don't know why. But I remember when we were first getting into it, we were playing it for like a week, like every day, and I was going on vacation. I was going on a long weekend. I wasn't going to be near my computer for about 3-4 days. And of course, the day before, I just unlocked new stuff. So I'm literally telling Mad Dog, I go, here's my password. Play my account while I'm gone, so I don't lose this stuff. Because the problem is once you stop playing, all your gear times out, and if you don't have enough in-game currency, you can't buy new stuff. So you're stuck with the default crap, which, by the way, 9 times out of 10, the default weapons suck. Which, again, jumping back to Black Flag Retribution, before it got officially released, the original gear that they give you was actually pretty decent. And I don't know if this happens all the time. This just happened to me, and it ticked me off. I remember the day before, playing it before its official release, and just getting kills, enjoying myself, stuff like that. And, I didn't have much time put into it, but I had enough to enjoy myself. And then the next day, after the release patch, all of a sudden, all the equipment for starting off just sucked. Just immediately became crap. I could unload an entire clip into someone, it seemed, and it didn't do anything. And that's what ticks me off. It's just like, really? That's one way to really kill the experience for me. And, and I still gave it a chance because I did enjoy it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put $20 into this, see what I can do. Put 20, went out, got a card or whatever, for whatever it was, got a card, started looking through, and I'm just like, all right, well, anything I'm going to buy, I'm going to make sure I buy it permanent, because I don't know, if I'm going to be able to play this every day of my life. I'm a busy person sometimes. Holy crap, was everything expensive. There wasn't anything worthwhile that I could buy permanently for $20 without wasting all my money. And then I'd be stuck with, one thing. I haven't been there. I haven't played it in a while, so I don't know if it's changed since. I'm not knocking Black Flag Retribution. I think it was still a fun game when I played it. I was able to get some enjoyable matches out of it. But then again, you jump into those matches where the people who, the richy riches that threw the money into it, or the ones that have been playing since day one, beta, early access, whatever, and, they have all the gear, all the good stuff, and you're just trying to gradually level up so you can get some better stuff, and all you keep doing, it's frustrating. It's hard to grind. It's hard to stick with a game when you're just always dying, not enjoying yourself, and it's all because of other people who are willing to shell out the hundreds of dollars, and a lot of times that's what it is. And so it's kind of frustrating to me. And so it just makes me think, how do these developers cater to that middle crowd? And like I said, it's basically like the Gotham City Imposters and the Team Fortress 2 and stuff. Just like, build your game based off the fact that this is going to be... They're trying to make a game that people are going to enjoy first and then put money in second. Enjoy to the fact that they're actually going to want to put money into it. So... And I think that's the way you got to do it. But unfortunately, there's thousands upon thousands of free-to-plays out there that ain't going to do that. Especially ones that are coming from overseas sometimes, if you know what I mean. They want your money first, and then they'll give you the gameplay. Okay, sure, whatever. So, what can you do? I guess the only reason why I was thinking about that is because, like I said, it's really hard for a gamer like me to be able to play a lot of these free-to-plays because I'm not always have the time anymore. It's not like I'm in high school anymore. It's not like I'm in college anymore where, I go to work, I go to school, I maybe do homework, and then I have all this extra time, and me and my buddies sit around and play video games all day long. Those were the days. I wish I could go back to them, but that's not it anymore. So, when you can get a free-to-play that, a casual gamer, I'm not really a casual gamer, but a person who tries to play many different games at a time and not try to stick to one game exclusively as for forever and always, they can still enjoy it. So, what do you expect, And then you have this new craze that's popping up, like the free-to-wait, as it's starting to be called, where these are mostly on smartphones and tablets, the games that will give you the full game, but you have to, wait for certain features to come back. Like, if you use up a feature, you got to wait, like, an hour or a day for that feature to come back. I think... Mad Dog was playing The Simpsons Tap Out, and there's a lot of that in there. But of course, if you want to pay money, it's money versus time. It's going off of the fact that people are impatient nowadays. They're not going to want to wait. They're gonna start shelling out money to us so they can do this stuff right away. I guess there was this is what ticks me off. Dungeon Keeper. There's a new mobile Dungeon Keeper, which Dungeon Keeper 1 and 2 are some of my favorite games. I never was really good at those games, but they're excellent games. I mean, if you haven't, just recently, GOG.com was giving away the first Dungeon Keeper for free during the sale. I already had it, but I remember tweeting it dude, go get this game. It's one of the best ever. And Dungeon Keeper 2, the same. Just excellent, dungeon management and kind of with RTS strategy and this and that. It's just great game. And then all of a sudden EA comes out with this mobile game, and apparently it has a lot to do with, it's slow, monotonous, and your minions don't dig half as fast as they're supposed to, but you can use these diamonds or crystals to make them speed up. But of course, they only recharge if you wait a long time. But hey, you can spend real money and blah, blah, blah. And it's no, that better not start becoming a thing. I swear, if games start doing that on the PC, I will boycott the heck out of them. Pay to wait. No. I was looking through my wife's Kindle the other day. I don't own a Kindle. She does. Got it for her for Christmas. Which, by the way, guys, quick tip. You want to make your woman happy, get her a Kindle. You will get brownie points like you wouldn't believe. Kindles make them happy. Especially if they love books, because she loves reading. So she really loves it. So I was just looking through the App Store on her Kindle. And I was looking at some of the games, and I guess there was that new Angry Birds racing game. I forgot what it was. I never really got into Angry Birds. I just thought it was a sort of... I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I just thought Angry Birds was a cheap ripoff, which it was. It was a ripoff to another Flash game that just didn't look quite as visually appealing, and all the developers of Angry Bird did was do something that actually many other Flash games have done, just made it more visually appealing and market it properly. Good for them. I guess I shouldn't be angry at them for them. They were able to market something like that. So good for them. I'm very proud of them. I'm proud of their stuff. Just, I never really could get into them. So now they have a Mario Kart racing game. And apparently I was reading through it. And of course there's reviews and there's a lot of people this is great. But apparently your bird gets tired in between races or something. And so you have to wait an hour or 3 hours or something for your bird to not be tired anymore in order for you to continue racing or to use an ability or something like that. And it's really? And there were people sitting there defending it I don't even mind that. It's really? But I guess it's going off the mindset that a lot of times people are just playing these games a little bit at a time anyway. So maybe when they're on the bus to school or on their way to work or waiting on their lunch break, they might play a quick race or something, and then they got 3 hours left to work. By the time they get home, their bird will be recharged again. I guess that's the logic. No, it's not the logic. The logic is they want you to be impatient and go, I don't want to wait, I want to do this now, here's my credit card. Gaming industry, what is it coming to? So wonder why I appreciate the retro games so much more nowadays. And so wonder why I get so uber excited when I see a breath of fresh air, when I see something like Titanfall, and I'm wow, an original idea! Who would have thought? Why should I get that excited over that? I shouldn't be that excited. But it's what? I don't even know. Who knows? Maybe it'll end up being a big bust, but from what everyone's saying, it's really, really fun. I'm back to Titanfall again. So who knows? I don't know. Like I said, I'm probably not even going to buy it anyway. Until there's a really good deal or it comes out on Steam. Who knows? I'm already feel bad that I downloaded EA's Origin. I'm itching to just delete it because it's just ugly. It's just, I see a little icon on my screen. I'm just why did I do that? So I'll see. I'll see if open beta comes out for Titanfall. I'll give that a shot, and I'll play that until I have my opinion, and then I'll get rid of Origin. Wait for it to come out on Steam, which it might or might not. Probably won't, but who knows? We'll see. But yeah, so that's my little rant about free-to-play games and the pay-to-wait games and the stuff like that. Just whatever, a little bit. But that's the thing about being a PC gamer is you got a lot of variety to it. And I am a retro gamer, and I do enjoy a lot of the retro consoles out there. And I just want to do that disclaimer right now before I get into my rant about being a PC gamer. Is I love consoles. My first console was an Atari 2600. My second one was a Nintendo. My first PC was a Apple. No, it wasn't a PC. My first computer was an Apple II. Not much I could have did with that. But eventually, as I got older, I started getting into the DOS 3600, blah, 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 48DX, 66, whatever, with little itty-bitty hard drive space that today would barely be able to hold one game, let alone an entire library of games. But the main thing is I do appreciate the consoles, and I have a lot of joy for my old Nintendo and Super Nintendo and that's a major part of my history. At the same time, as a PC gamer, that has always been a constant in my history. And there have been times where I haven't been much for PC game because, one, I didn't have a good PC. Two, I had maybe the PC broke down or something like that, and I wasn't able to really play the games that I enjoy, And for the longest time, heck, when I first started my YouTube channel, I had an old POS PC that I got secondhand from someone because my good PC broke down, fried. I didn't have nothing. I couldn't fix it. And I go to work, and one of my coworkers at the time got a new computer from her then fiance. And she said, "Hey, my old computer, I'm not using it. We'll wipe it and give it to you." And it was a really old, I still have it, a really old piece of crap. Windows XP on it. Took 2 years to frickin' load. Could barely run Flash games on the darn thing, I think. And that's when I said, "Hey, I'm going to start making videos for YouTube." But the thing is there's those hard times and those moments where, you don't have the best PC in the world for playing the latest and greatest games. But at the same time, you have the options. There's always so much to being a PC gamer that I think right now, I watched an episode from The Escapist Yahtzee. He does Zero Punctuation. And he was doing a review of the latest Zelda game on the DS. And instead of doing a review on it, he started going off on a tangent about how he thinks the Wii U, out of all the new consoles, are actually the most console-like game because it still encourages people to play together in the same room, a video game. And he thinks all of the other, like the PS4 and the Xbox One, is basically just trying to be a PC without saying they are. And are trying to do everything that a PC has done for so long already and does it right. But they're still sitting there trying to say, "Hey, look, we're still a console." But they're not. They're just trying to be everything else. They're not worried about video games anymore. They're worried about trying to be that everything. And so Yahtzee was talking about how he felt sorry for the Wii U because he actually was rooting for it a little because it actually still felt like a console. It wasn't trying to be everything else. It was still trying to play video games and still trying to bring people together to play video games together. Where Xbox and PlayStation are sitting there trying their best to catch up with the PC, which had a head start in the 90s. PC gamers were playing against each other from across town, from across country, back in the 90s. As soon as modems all of a sudden came into fruition, we figured out, hey, we can play video games with each other and not be in the same room. Which is a pro and a con when it comes to PC. That's one thing that I always disliked about being a PC gamer is the fact that there's very little local co-op games, which is starting to not be as big of a trend anymore with the indie games. There's a lot of games that end up being local multiplayer as well. But that was the only real thing, like, being a PC gamer, I always sort of gave that to console gamers, is the fact, well, at least you can play local co-op. It always frustrated me that console gamers had the local co-op in the bag, and anytime a game would get released for a PC or ported to a PC, like, that local co-op would always just get erased completely. I was like, why? This is a port from a console game that had the split screen already implemented. Why did you take it out? Why can't you play Call of Duty split screen on a PC? But I digress. But for the most part, it's always just sort of been one of those things where PC gaming was never taken seriously, and sometimes still isn't. But we just sort of had all the good stuff. Like, we had mods before there was such a thing as mods. We had DLC before there was such a thing as DLC. You know, it was like just user-created stuff. It's like anytime games would come out, you'd go to the store and you'd be able to get expansions for it, either first-party or third-party. You'd be surprised how many different level expansion packs there were for Duke Nukem 3D and Doom back in the day. You didn't get that with consoles. You know, we were on the internet. We could look up forums a long time before anyone else could. But even before that, you know, even before the internet, you had that, you had this stupid, like, DOS version. What was it even called? Oh, my Lord. I can't even remember what it was now. It's been so long. But it was basically one of those DOS community bulletin board things. It was just like a big old bulletin board, and you could go on it, you could download games and stuff, and it was through DOS, so it looked awful, but it was awesome back in the day. And it's like we had all of this free technology and tools at our hands, and people realized what power they had with it. People would mod games all the time. People would create their own levels, and nowadays developers frustrated as all heck about this. I mean, take a look at the Call of Duty series. They don't want you modding. They don't want you making your own levels. No, you won't buy the DLC we have for you then. You know, but back in the day, look at the original, like, the old Unreal Tournament games. Unreal Tournament 2003 and 2004, stuff like that. They were awesome. They would release free updates for it with new stuff and new levels. They'd have contests and stuff like that. You know, there's just, you look online and the original Unreal Tournament still has a huge community for it with tons and tons of mutators, levels, new modes, new maps, new skins. It's just, to this day, look at Doom, for crying out loud. Doom still has a thriving community. You can even, I have a thing installed on my computer right now that I could play online with Doom, and no problem. You probably can't count how many custom maps and mods and everything there probably is for Doom and Doom 2 out there. You probably can't. It'd take you probably an entire year to do that. Same thing with other great games like Duke Nukem 3D and stuff. I was really excited with the recent Duke Nukem 3D update on Steam that allows you to play online again and with a workshop, so you can download levels again. It was just like, I remember when I originally had Duke Nukem 3D, I had thousands of levels for that. I would look online, and I would go to the store, and I'd buy those 1,000 level packs, where about, even though there was 1,000 levels in this CD, there's maybe a handful, a dozen that were actually good levels, and there's a bunch that were just crap. But you didn't care. You liked the fact that you could expand your game. And there was like mods for weapons and stuff like that. You could keep going. You could keep going even when your game is technically out of date. And that's what I love about a lot of these old games. I mean, that's why you see so many ROM hacks of stuff like Super Mario World and Mario Brothers 3 and stuff. There's a ton of those out there. Because people just want to create their own Mario worlds. And they could do it on a PC with a ROM. You know, and that's what... So even the console games, you know... I mean, look at how many fan-made Mega Man games have been created recently because of the lack of good Mega Man games, you know? fans take it into their old hands. And that's why it always just seemed like a special place to be a PC gamer. Because even if you weren't a creator of this stuff, you could always be an enjoyer of it. And it was like its own little community. And people always say, oh, you PC gamers are a bunch of elitists. It's like, no, we're not elitists. Maybe we're a little spoiled because we have all this stuff. And people... And console gamers, unfortunately, are still trying to figure out, are excited when they get level editors with their games. It just baffles me that a lot of... And people would always get weird when they'd be like, this game's coming, this game's coming with a level editor? This game's going to be online? Like, you'll be able to play online. Like, back when that was the new thing with the PS2 and the Xbox and stuff. You'll be able to play online and stuff. You'll be able to play, like, first-person shooters with people across the country. And then I look at them and be like, I've been doing that for years now. It's called PC gaming. And that's why they think we're a bunch of elitist buttholes, because this stuff isn't exciting to us, because we're used to it. Are we spoiled by it? No, but I don't think we are, because we don't take it for granted, because we enjoy it. We want that. We want that freedom. And that's what's really cool about a PC gamer. It's because you have that expanded world. You get a game, if it's enjoyed enough, there's a community surrounding it enough, it will stay alive forever. And that started with a PC. And yes, I know there's all these online community, you have the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One, the PS3 and the PS4 and the Wii's and Wii U's and stuff, and they have the virtual consoles now, so now you're finally able to play all these old classic games and stuff like that. But before that stuff came out, where were you going to go to find a lot of these games besides trying to find an old arcade? Well, you had to look online. You had to find it that way. And it's not a horrible thing to be spoiled by something you love. And being a PC gamer, I think, we're spoiled, but we appreciate it. And we try not to take advantage of it. And we live in this world now where even consoles are trying its darndest to be just like a PC. And there's a lot of people out there that are just like, wow, PCs are dead. PC gaming's dead because we have tablets now and stuff like that. Have you seen the games that are on tablets? Have you? They're fun. I'll admit there's some that are fun. But anytime one of these tablet games gets put on Steam Greenlight or gets put on Steam Period, you know how much hate gets put at them? Some of them are worth it. Yes, I'll admit there are a lot of tablet games that are really, really fun and should be put on Steam and stuff like that. But there are a ton of other ones that are completely useless and are just there to be just quick mini games for the attention deficit disorder people. I'm one of those attention deficit disorder people, so I can say that. What was I talking about again? Okay, anyway. So the PC will be around at least in some form or fashion. It's being transformed into something new. I mean, take a look at the Steam box. It's basically the first time that they're finally going to say, all right, we're putting the PC in the living room. For reals this time. It's a Steam box. It's not a console. They're basically saying, consoles want to be a PC that bad. Well, here. Let's show you how it's done. And by the way, we're not restricting it to any one particular person making this Steam box. Anyone can make it. So you're going to have these different priced Steam boxes that everyone can buy, that everyone can enjoy. And you can finally sit it down in front of the television, sit at home, and enjoy your PC games the way they're meant to be played on a big screen, I'd have to say. And I think that's a major blow to consoles personally. I really do. But it's exciting to see that as a PC game, because that's something that we've wanted for a while. And yes, there are those gaming boxes that have been around for a while, the kind that you're supposed to be all set up to, but it's exciting to see something like Valve get behind it and go, we're putting all our efforts into this. We're finally making that step. We're putting the PC in the living room. in every room. You know, it's not just for the office anymore, which that's another thing that console gamers would give us grief for. And it just baffles me, because the biggest sin against us PC gamers, the biggest insult to us, is the fact that nowadays not so much, because you're starting to see people realize the classics aren't just Mario, Sonic, you know, Mario and Sonic and the such. It also is Jazz Jackrabbit, Doom, Blake Stone, Rise of the Triad. You know, those as well. Jill of the Jungle, for crying out loud. Biohazard, Halloween Harry. These games were all coming out around the times of the Marios and the Sonics, the Bonks, the arcade games and the such, but no one realized it. Nobody talked about it, unless if you were part of the PC gaming elite, quote unquote. And that's what's frustrating to me, is that a lot of times you just hear, what was the best platformer back then? Oh, hands down it was Sonic. No, it was Mario. Well, what about Commander Keen? That was a good platformer. What about Jazz Jackrabbit? That was a good platformer. You know. What about Duke Nukem 1 and 2? Everyone just said, oh, well, what about Duke Nukem Forever? That was such a crap game. You know what? Duke Nukem 3D, Duke Nukem 1 and 2 were some of the best dang shooting games ever made. Even before Duke Nukem 3D, Duke Nukem 1 and 2, great stuff. Excellent stuff. Some great platforming shooting, you know. And it's only now that people are starting to realize, hey, there was a lot of classics we missed back on the PC. And they're starting to get re-released on stuff like mobile gaming and stuff like that. But it's still not enough, you know. Just look around, and I go to GOG.com, and, you know, and it's great, and Steam, and it's great to see that a lot of these old games are starting to come back for Steam, you know, like Descent just came out. That's a classic right there. And Magic Carpet 1 and 2, those were some great games. These games just weren't given the credit for the longest time as being the classics. Like the ones like Contra and Zelda and Samus and the Final Fantasies and the such. Anytime you hear what's your favorite classic PC game, people will probably be like, I don't know what you're talking about. What's what? Unless if you're talking to a PC gamer, and they're going to give you a list a mile wide. And that's what I love about it, is the fact that we sat there patiently waiting for our time to come where we can say, hey, guess what? We weren't just a bunch of idiots over here playing on our PCs. We did have some good stuff. We had Crystal Caves. We had Jetpack. So yes, our names were pretty dang generic, but hey, they were still fun. We weren't just being silly sitting on our computer playing while you guys were over there playing Mario and Sonic. We had our games. You were playing Star Fox. I was playing Magic Carpet. Different games, but still. You know. And it saddens me the fact that I remember talking to an old coworker back in the day. He was a bit younger than me by about, not necessarily a generation, but a few years. I don't know. Just about a little bit of a generation gap between us. And I talked to him about Doom. And I said, I don't even know what the context was. I just mentioned Doom. And immediately, he lit up and he went, oh, I remember playing that. That first came out on the Super Nintendo, didn't it? The Super Nintendo! That came out on the Super Nintendo! If I wouldn't have been at work, I swear I would have smacked the guy. No, I said. No, that is not the most ideal port. No! That was on the PC way long ago. Same thing, and I think he thought the same thing about Wolfenstein. Well, Wolfenstein 3, that was on the Super Nintendo first, but no! Even before Wolfenstein, Catacombs 3D. These things were all just light years ahead of the Super Nintendo. And it wasn't until near the end of the Super Nintendo was trying to emulate that stuff. The FPS, this weird first-person shooter. And that's what always frustrated me is all of a sudden when the N64 got GoldenEye, and let me get you this straight, I love GoldenEye, I'm not knocking the game at all, it's a great game. Everyone started acting like that was the golden age of FPS. Like that was it. Now that console gamers have a good first-person shooter, then, well, look at us, look at first-person shooters, they're so awesome. We know first-person shooters are awesome, we've been over here playing them for years now. I'm glad you got your GoldenEye, that's great. But, give us a little credit here. We've been playing them for years. But they act like this was this brand new spanking thing that they've never heard of before. That, oh yeah, there was this weird Doom game on the Super Nintendo, and, it was so choppy and weird looking, though. But now look at this over here. But again, I'm not knocking it. It's great. It had one thing that we didn't have as PC gamers. It had 4-player split screen, which is awesome. I'll give them that. And like I said, GoldenEye was an awesome game. I was jealous. I was really, really jealous the first time I went over to my cousin's house and played GoldenEye that this wasn't on the PC. I kept saying, why isn't this on a PC? Mostly because I wanted to play with a mouse and keyboard. So I don't know. I guess there's just that passion there. And the fact of the matter is that, somehow you can figure out, even though a game's really, 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 really old, you can still somehow, either through emulation or DOSBox or something, you can still figure out how to play your old games from 20 years ago on your PC of today in some way. Where nowadays, you can't take a Nintendo cartridge and plug it into your Wii U. You can go on their virtual console, pay money for a new one, a version that way if they have it on there, if you're lucky. But you can't do that. You can't take your PS1 game and stick it in your PS4 and play it. But you can figure it out. And even if you can't find it, you might be able to find a fan-made remake or something online. Who knows? There's always something. There's just so much for it out there. And that's why I'm a PC gamer. It's just the fact that the options are always there and always seemingly endless. And I hope it's always that way. We were always growing, and people would always complain being a PC gamer is too expensive. Being too expensive, it's too expensive. Just like, maybe it was for a long time, but nowadays it doesn't seem that way anymore. Considering that you could probably, I built my PC, I bought my PC from a retailer, an office supply store, and I ended up spending a little extra money on a better power supply and a video card, and I was able to build my PC for about under $400. I think I had some discounts at the time, so I might have been close to about $350 or something like that. And it's still doing me good today. And that was a few years ago. That was a little while ago. That was, I think even my son wasn't even born yet. So yeah, it was a while ago. And that's just it. It's gotten to that point. And we have consoles to thank for that, because for the longest time they weren't upgrading. So video games weren't getting upgraded for the PC either, because for some odd reason PC gamers have to live and die by what console gamers were playing. I've never really understood that. Always seemed kind of weird to me. But again, not knocking consoles. I loved my Wii. I loved my Super Nintendo and my Sega Genesis, and I loved the PlayStations and PlayStation 2 and that. I have all those systems downstairs hooked up to my big screen TV, and there's a lot of great games in there that we just never got on the PC. There's a ton to be jealous of as a PC gamer, because there were just certain genres we just wouldn't get, or certain kind of games we just wouldn't get on the PC. But then, same thing, there's just certain genres and games that you guys just wouldn't get from the PC. We've seen what happens when you try putting a real-time strategy game on a console. And apparently, even Diablo 3, which just recently got released on like the PlayStation 3 and stuff like that. From what I hear, that was just a complete cluster. There's just certain things, but who knows? And I don't know. I find it fascinating that the more into the future we go, the more consoles are trying to be like a PC, but at the same time there's still so many complicated things stopping them because they don't want to be called that. That's the last thing they want to be called. And now, with things like the DOS box coming out, not the DOS box, the Steam box, DOS box, I was just talking about that. I think PC gamers are finally seeing that justification, like all this time, not necessarily that we were right, but we were right to stick with it and to not give up and give in to all those taunts that we were a bunch of elitist pricks and stuff like that. I don't think we are, because I have full respect of all gaming history, including the consoles, including arcades, including the PC. And it just frustrated me for the longest time that it seemed like anytime people talked about gaming history, they would leave out, for the most part, PC gaming of the past, except for the occasional mention of Doom or something like that. Maybe even for a platformer, if they had to pull a platformer out of their butt, they'd be like, "Oh, Commander Keen," something like that. But nowadays, it's starting to get to the point like, hey, you know what? We missed out on a lot. So hey, but that's why I'm a PC gamer, I guess. I don't know if that made sense, if I somehow relayed why I'm a PC gamer. But in my ranting mind, it all just sort of comes together to me. So there we go, folks. I'm going to call her quits for now. Thank you for listening to episode 3 of my Retro Gamer Ranting podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to follow me on all my different channels. I'll have the links in the description. If you are watching this on my YouTube channel, there will be links there as well for my Twitter and all that good stuff. The opening and music is from ocremix.org. Thanks for watching, everyone. Till next time, game fans, keep playing